Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Quentin here and welcome to tutorial number 29, and in this tutorial we are going to start looking at creating a basic website layout. So this is something that is probably going to take a few tutorials. We're not going to complete it in just one video, but yeah, we actually started working on this in the previous tutorial where I explained some of the new tags for website layouts. So basically, if you take a look at my browser right now, this is what we're going to be working on in this video. So I've just got a logo up here and we've got a menu going on, a navigation menu with a little bit of a header bar. And yeah, right now the content on the website is still empty because that's something we'll work on in the next video. But yeah, let's take a look at how to tackle this navigation menu and adding the logo in that corner and so on, right? So jump over to your text editor and you'll see that I've got a bunch of the new tags for the website layout over here. So I've got my header bar, my nav bar, section, article, side, and footer, and I'm leaving all of these blank for now. In my CSS folder, all of this is going to be blank for now. So if we save the CSS file and if I save this index file and I jump back over to the browser, it's blank. So now we're going to have to go ahead and create all of that stuff again, right? So let's jump back over to the code. And the first thing I want to do is add in my logo. So if I open up Finder or just open up your htdocs folder, wherever you're storing your files, and you'll see that I've got my index file, which we've been working with for some time now. I've got my CSS file, folder with my CSS file. And again, we've been working with that for some time. And then I've got a folder called images, and inside of that, I've got a logo. And then I've also kept the Photoshop file for that logo. So yeah, fairly simple to make, nothing braggable or nothing brag worthy. But yeah, let's take a look at how to add this logo to our website. So I'm going to add in an image and I'm going to give it a source, and the source is going to be equal to images because remember, we're working with, we can work with relative file paths. So if I add in that backslash, that's going to go to the root directory, we'll be able to find this images folder, and then we'll should be able to find logo.ping or whatever you called your logo. If it's a JPEG or a GIF or something like that, make sure that you're using the correct file extension. Most of the time when people complain or leave comments in my videos, it's because they're using the wrong file extension. So yeah, just make sure you're using the correct file extension, right? And then I'm going to add an alt attribute here just for logo, and then I'm going to add a width, because I realized I actually made this image a little bit too wide. It's 240 pixels by 120, and I think that's just too wide. So I'm going to set this to 120, which is going to bring the height down to about 60 pixels. I'm not going to fill in a height though. So let's go ahead and save this now, come back to the browser and hit refresh. And now we've got a logo to work with in the top corner over here, right? So what I'd like to do is maybe center my website a little bit, because this logo is pushed all the way to the top corner of our browser, and that's you know, not cool. Generally, especially on a wider screen like a 1080 screen, if your browser's full width, a logo is not that far in the corner. It's usually centered wherever the website is centered. So to center something like that, I'm going to jump over to my CSS file and I'm going to create a class called tm-container, right? And what a container does, you'll see this across most websites. If you're using Bootstrap, if you're using some other kind of front-end framework, we usually have containers that set a max width of something like 1200 pixels, and then usually there'll also be margin of 0 and auto. Okay, so margin of 0 means that there's no margin on the top, no margin on the bottom, but we'll have an automatic margin to the left and an automatic margin to the right. And so if you save this now and jump back over to the browser and oops, actually we didn't apply this class anyway. So let's take TM container. And I think what I want to do is place that container inside of the header. So let's place that container here. And I'm just going to give, or I'm going to create a div and give the div that class. And then I'm going to copy and paste these back inside of that div. Now, if you're confused as to why I'm doing this, this is just simply because I want my header to be full width. Like I want a long white bar that goes across the entire screen. And then inside of that, I actually want the container. So the logo starts here, but the white bar actually goes all the way to the end of the browser. It'll make sense when you see the visual or if you rewind back to the beginning of the video. All right, so let's hit save. Come back and look at the browser now and hit refresh. And now you can see that our logo is a little bit more centered. If I inspect element over here and I hover over this div called TM container, you can see that from where the logo starts to somewhere over there, that's 1200 pixels. So our div is not going to get any wider than that. And what that means is that any space to this side and any space to this side, that's set because of the automatic margin that we set over here. So if I jump back over to my CSS file and I remove that automatic margin, but I put like a border, let's just go a border all the way around of 1 pixel solid red, you'll get to see exactly how wide this is. All right, so that's 1200 pixels, but it's not centered. And if we just add margin 0 pixel auto or 0 and auto, it just centers that div for us. So that's how you center a div. That's pretty damn easy, right? But I don't want the border, so let's get rid of that. Now, something else you'll notice, and it's quite visible just because the border is here right now, is that we've got a little bit of spacing on the top of our browser, and that would actually follow through to the sides as well. It's because by default, things like our body tag actually have a padding, and we might want to get rid of that. There are also other things that have paddings and spacings that we might want to get rid of. So generally, something you do whenever you start building a website is you get rid of default styling by either throwing in a reset style sheet, or you can just reset a few elements yourself. One of the most common resets is just to select all elements on your website by using the star symbols. That selects everything. And basically what I want to do here is say margin 0 and padding 0. And that's going to take away all default margins and paddings, which means this little space above our header should disappear, and also like space on the side of the browser that shouldn't be there from the body, that'll also disappear. So let's hit save, come back over to the browser and hit refresh. And you see the logo bumped up a little bit. If you add that border back, the border should now be touching the top of the screen. Let's just add it back, I guess. Border 1 pixel solid red. So obviously stuff like this is going to be a lot easier to see if you just add a border, although kind of the border might mess up the look of the website. So yeah, remove it if you don't want it there, right? So let's save that now and take a look. So now we've got our logo basically in the right place. But we probably want to add in some of the other things like the menu and the background colors, right? So something I want to do is change the color of my body. And this is something I do with my CSS. I usually work like from top with all the resets and stuff to like other elements that you see. So basically I'll work from top to bottom. So if we see the header first, I'll have header styling, and then I'll have footer styling towards the bottom of my style sheet. But yeah, default elements, things like the body or things like font family across the whole site, I will generally style right at the top of my style sheet. That's just how I choose to work. Not everybody has to work the same way, but it's just my standard, right? So the body, I want to set a background of hash E. So 6 E's, and that should turn the body of my website gray. But now you can see that we have our header, well, it's gray as well, except for where the image is, because I didn't use a transparent image. So something I want to do here is turn this header tag white. So I'm going to give this a class of tm-header, right? And then I'm going to use that class here. So not tm container, but tm header. And by the way, these classes that I'm naming, tm header, tm container, you could name them anything you want. I just choose to name it tm header or tm container or something like that, because tm in my head stands for theme, and then header container, obviously you kind of get the picture. I've explained that. Right, so let's set a background on our header of white. So just hashtag FFF, and that should turn the background white again, right? So we've got the header pretty much set up. Now what I want to do is add in a navigation. So usually what we use for navigations are unordered lists. So let me open up an unordered list over here, and I'm going to add a list item. And inside of the list item, I'm going to add in an A tag, right? Because obviously a menu item is a link. Once you click on it, you get linked to another page. So we use an A tag as a link. Now, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to link to hash. You guys know how to link to other pages. We've talked about that in previous videos, but if you ever link to a hash, that kind of links nowhere. Essentially what it means is once you click on this link, you get linked back to the same page. So if I clicked on a link, I'd get linked back to this page, right? And what I want to do here is then add in some text. So let's go home, right? And we can add in a few other links just for look, I guess. So we can say about for the about page, services, or whatever it is you're wanting to put on your site, and then contact, right? So now we should have a menu. If I save this and I come back over to the browser and hit refresh, you can see we do in fact have a menu showing up. It just doesn't exactly show up how we'd like it to. So there's a few styling changes that we need to make here as well. Okay, one of those being we need to make all these list items display in one line. So to do that, I'm going to add a class to my nav element. I'm just going to call this tm-nav. So basically theme nav, right? And I'm going to add in the styling over here. So tm-nav, right? And I actually don't think there's anything I want to change with my navigation just yet. But what I do want to do is select some of the child elements. So I want to select the nav, the unordered list, and the list items. This is the element I want to style. I want to make them all display in line. So tm nav ul li. So that's going to select all list elements within our nav or our tm nav. And what I'd like to do is just display those all inline block, right? Ooh, didn't you hear that squeaker? Right? Okay, so now they're all in line, but they don't exactly look how I'd like them to. So something I want to do now is style the link, right? So I'm going to copy and paste that, and then I'm just going to add an A tag. So that's going to style all the links within our list items, and I'm not worried about displaying them inline block. But what I do want to do is, first of all, give them a padding of about 10 pixels on the top and bottom, and then about 20 or 30 pixels to the left and right. So let me go ahead and save this now and hit refresh. And you can see now they're a little bit better spaced out. Something that still kind of looks weird though is the fact that they're all underlined. So I want to just take away that text decoration and let's say none, right? So that's going to get rid of the text decoration. We also want to get rid of the color because right now they're sort of like a visited blue link color or purple. And I want to change that to just a default 30, 30, 30. So more or less the same color as the logo. They'll be black, but not quite black, right? Like a sort of dark gray. Yeah, now we've got our links pretty much set up, but they're not in the correct place. We want them sort of floated to the left over here, right? So something we might need to do is take our image, so this image that the logo is in, we might want to float that left, and then this navigation we might want to float that right. So I'm going to give this logo a class of tm-logo, right? And let's go ahead and copy that class, paste it in our CSS file, and I'm going to add it somewhere above my nav there. And what I'd like to do is float that to the left. This tm-nav, that's our navigation. And of course, I want to float that to the right. So let's save this now, come back to the browser and hit refresh. And you can see we've got our logo to the left, our menu to the right, but something happened, and that is the fact that our header has disappeared. So that white background completely gone, right? So what I'd like to do is get that back. And the way I'm going to get that back is essentially clear below my menu. So there are like 1,001 different ways to do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that TM header and I'm going to add an after element. So that's a pseudo element. And then I'm just going to say content is equal to, or not equal to, but content. And I'm going to set a value of a blank space. So that just adds a blank space. It's not going to be visible. It's not going to be there, like nobody can see it. But it does give us a pseudo element that can essentially clear the logo and the elements over here so that they're not floated anymore. Well, they are floated, but they're not, the header doesn't disappear. And I'm going to then say clear both. So now this TM header pseudo element is going to be able to clear both. So let's save this and come back over the browser and hit refresh. Let's see, did I get that right? Where did I actually put TM header? Right, so I might need to just add some other extra code here, display block and visibility none. Although visibility none should be okay. Like you could probably get away without having this set because we just use the blank space over here. But let's say I use the full stop or something. The full stop might be visible, but if I use a blank space, it's not. And then also just visibility none, just to be sure that it's gone, basically. Okay, so now when I hit refresh, our header is back, and that's due to this fancy little bit of code which clears a floated, the floated elements being the logo and the navigation, right? So yeah, now that that has been done, something I do want to do is get these links or these list items, the menu items, in line with the logo, because right now they're kind of pushed up against the top of the browser. So the way I'm going to do that is on this link, add in some line height. Again, there are like 101 different ways you could go about doing this, but I'm going to use line height. I just need to make sure that we close, add a semicolon to the above statement. So line height, and I'm going to set that equal to 60 pixels, right? Because in actual fact, if I take a look at this in Firebug, the layout of our header it is actually 60 pixels in height. I just happen to know that because I know that this logo is displaying at 60 pixels, right? So if I set a line height on my list items to be 60 pixels, my list items should now be as high as our logo. Therefore, they are all displaying more or less in the middle, basically aligned with the logo. So that was one cool trick to go about doing that. And now the one thing you'll notice is, okay, our menu items have no hover effect. So basically we can take that same selector and then just add a couple lines down here and then select that link in its hover status and add in a different color. So let's take a color here, and I think I want to use a blue. So I've already got a code set up that I want to use, right? And so now that means that every time I hover over one of these links, they should turn blue. Did I used a double colon instead of a single one. Yeah, okay, so now I hover over these links and they're turning blue, right? So that's cool. And one other thing you'll notice is that the font is not quite what I showed you guys at the beginning of this video. So what I did to get a font displaying in my browser is I went over to Google Fonts. And this is a really cool website that's available for us from Google. And I searched for Open Sans. So Open Sans is like a really popular Google font. Like pretty much everybody uses it. There's basically it's everywhere. If you click on select this font up in the top corner over here, that's going to give you this little black bar down at the bottom, and you can pull that up. And this is going to give you some code that you need to apply to your website to get the font working. So I'm just going to copy and paste this link, and let's paste that over here. So basically in the head of my document. So let's hit save, jump back over to my CSS file now, and under this all selector, what I can do is select the font for everything on my site, and I'm going to say font family is equal to Open Sans. In fact, there we have the rule right here on Google. All right, so let's go back to, where is it there? Font family is Open Sans or sans serif. So basically, if Open Sans for some reason fails to load, it'll fall onto a backup of a sans serif font. But generally Google's font system doesn't fail to load, so you'll pretty much always have Open Sans showing up. So let's come back here and hit refresh, and that's how you get your links showing up in a Google font. And that's how we can go about creating a simple website header. We will be taking a look at the rest of the website in future, but this tutorial has gotten crazy long, so I might have to cut it into 2 pieces. And that's all I have for you guys in this video, so I'll see you next time. I just want to send a shout out to my sponsors at Dev Mountain. They run a coding bootcamp with courses on iOS development, UX design, and web development, and they'll teach you everything you need to know to get a job within this field, and they'll do it within 12 weeks. So check out their website, the link is in the description below, and if you do contact them, make sure to tell them that I sent you. Special thanks to the guys whose names are on screen now. These guys contribute $5 or more on Patreon, and I really appreciate that. While you're still here, there are a few other things that you can do to help out, so follow me on social media and check out some more of my content, and I'll see you guys next time.